Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this webinar. The agenda we have for today is building a high volume funding strategy. So today we're going to be going over different strategies from a technology perspective of how to increase your portfolio size, as well as to more effectively manage a large volume of loans. So just to give a little bit of background on who we are, my name is Chris. I am the account executive here at Fundingo, and I'm joined by Camille Reyes, who is our marketing manager. Camille, do you want to take a second just to say hello?
Yeah. Hey, guys. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming today. We truly appreciate it, and we're super excited to give you guys some insight on our presentation. And also, it doesn't let you talk right off the hand, but at the bottom of your screen, you can see there's a raised hand. So I'll kind of be conducting everything. This is meant to be more of an interactive webinar. So if you guys have a question at any point in time, just feel free to raise your hand, and then I can be able to let your microphone come on, or you can enter your question in the chat during the webinar.
Yeah, and just to emphasize what Camille said, we definitely want to make this like as interactive as possible. So any questions, feel free to contribute. We're more than happy to engage with the audience. So yeah, moving on to who Fundingo is. Essentially, Fundingo, we provide Salesforce-based solutions for loan origination, underwriting, and servicing. So Salesforce is great as a customer relationship management system, but where we come into play is that we add all of the loan management and loan-specific functionality on top of that. So just to give everybody an idea of some of the things we do on the origination side, we see things like, for example, portfolio or pipeline management, also SIP and verification management. We work with a lot of clients on underwriting rule engines, integrations to underwriting solutions. Then on the servicing side, we see things like payment management, also syndication management, borrower and partner portals. Those are a few of the different areas that we help a lot of our clients with. And some of the values that a lot of our clients see are things such as increased deal flow, streamlined operations, and being able to more effectively manage their portfolios. In terms of clients we work with, really, just to summarize this table right here, it comes down to three major areas. One is merchant cash advance and small business lenders. They are definitely one of the biggest areas in the financial industry that we work with. We also work with a lot of real estate lenders, such as, for example, Dominion Financial. And finally, CDFIs, which are community development financial institutions. These are more community type lenders that lend out at lower interest rates, as well as do a lot of SBA loans. So yeah, that's a high level overview of some of our clients. So yeah, we'll get started and go right into the keys to a high volume strategy. One of the major points that we see clients can improve in order to be able to accommodate a high volume is increasing data visibility. What we mean by this is that we often see with clients, they have a lot of issues where dealing with a large number of loans, not all of their team members have access to the data they need for that loan. So what ends up happening is that there's a lot of back and forth that needs to be done between different team members in order to access key and critical data for a loan. And the goal in creating a high volume funding strategy really should be to achieve an integrated funnel. So what we mean by this is a few different examples. One is consolidating workflows onto one system. So this includes things like integrations to credit pulls, due diligence solutions such as LexisNexis, and other integrations that can help facilitate all of the data being stored in one place. So there's less back and forth, not just between team members, but also between systems. Another key area is notifications to team members based on deal changes. So this could be between a sales team and an underwriting team, or an underwriting team and a finance team. To give a more concrete example, a lot of the lenders we work with, they have the sales team handle all communication with clients up to deal funding. And if an underwriter has questions regarding, for example, some of the stipulations, they might have the salesperson reach out to the borrower to ask those questions or to perform those follow-ups. So it's very important in terms of increasing data visibility for salespeople to get notifications of when underwriter has questions regarding specific items. And we see this a lot in Salesforce by setting up workflows and different triggers that can send out emails when, for example, an underwriter has a question regarding a particular stip. Then finally, one of the most important areas for achieving data visibility is data continuity for the entire life cycle of a loan. And what we mean by this is we often see clients are using two systems for origination and servicing. They might be using Salesforce for origination and a different system for servicing, or vice versa. And this causes a few different issues. One would be with reporting. So when you have the data split up into different areas like that, it becomes very difficult to gain operational insights because you don't have the full life cycle of the loan available to you from a data perspective. The other major issue is that if you're having, for example, people on the front end with sales needing info on the servicing side, that could be an issue. So for example, if a salesperson is wondering whether they should reach out for a renewal and they want to see how the current loan is performing, it could be very problematic if data is being held in two different systems. So that's just one example. The other major area that we see a lot of clients make strides in terms of being able to accommodate higher volume is by incorporating some element of self-service. So essentially, this is very powerful because number one, you're empowering clients to be able to have more control over their own loans. And two, you're offloading some of the work from internal teams to external clients. We see two major categories of self-service take place. So the first, and the one that most people think about, is borrower portals. So clients often call lenders asking for things like loan info, the balance on their loans. They might put in a call to request a draw or a payoff. And that might not necessarily be an issue if you're servicing, for example, 50 loans. But if you have 1,000 loans, there's definitely a very large potential for efficiency by offloading some of that work towards self-service. So yeah, a lot of the clients we work with, they set up borrower portals where people can see loan info, see past payments. They can also put in those draw and payoff requests. And also you can incorporate document generation as part of it, where they can download, for example, invoices, monthly statements, and such. Then the second major category we see for self-service is partner portals. And within partner portals, there are two different types of partner portals. So one would be the case of a lender who is running mostly on brokers for their deal flow. In that case, we see a lot of lenders and funders set up a portal for brokers to be able to submit deals, as well as see the status of those deals. And that's much more efficient than just the broker emailing you every time they have a deal they want to send over. Then the second major category of partner portals would be for people who are syndicating or having investors. So investors want to know how their deals are doing. They want to see how much money they're making off a specific deal and the performance of their loans. So having access to those reports and dashboards on a portal is very useful, as opposed to manually spending the time to generate those reports and send that out to the individual investors. And the other major area we notice that a lot of lenders can incorporate for funding higher volumes has to do with automation. And automation, although it's a great buzzword, there's a few conditions that have to take place for it to be a viable and justifiable strategy. So the first would be that it has to involve data-driven processes. If it's a process that can be broken down into a decision tree of yes or no, and doesn't involve as much gray, then that's a process that could definitely has a potential for automation. Non-intelligent workflows. Obviously, some factors in the underwriting process are going to involve a bit of a human touch, and that's not something that can ever be automated. Finally, having the appropriate volume. So setting up automation can be expensive, no doubt, and definitely take up time. So it's important that the initial investment into setting up an automation is outweighed by the potential benefit, and that usually requires a high volume for the specific process in question. So a few possible automation points on the origination and underwriting sides that we've seen with funders. One would be document generation. One thing we notice with a lot of the clients we work with is they use third-party solutions such as Conga. And what Conga does is essentially you have a Word template or other document template. It could be a loan agreement, for example. And what it does is it grabs fields from Salesforce and then merges it onto those documents. So if you're doing a loan agreement and you have the loan amount and the maturity date stored in a Salesforce object, what can happen is that Conga can pull that info and compile it into a loan agreement template that you have in Word. So that way you don't have to go in to the actual Word document, make a new copy, and fill out those fields manually. You can just click a button and then the loan agreement is populated with all the different fields are necessary. In a similar vein, we also see e-signature envelope creation as something that gets automated pretty frequently. So one example is we're working with a client who has two different divisions. One is a real estate lending division and one is a small business lending division. And based off the type of loan that they are working on, they're going to have different agreements that need to be signed as part of the final package. So what you could do is you can have DocuSign integrated with Salesforce, have it check on a few fields, like for example, what type of loan is this? And then based off that, make the relevant documents included in the final package. The real estate package might have different docs in the small business lending package. Then emails and SMS. So on the this is more applicable to servicing, but we do see it on the origination side as well, primarily with STIP collection. So if you notice that the borrower is missing a few documents, you can send out automated emails and text messages. Also, if you have an application portal, what you could do is if the borrower has like gone through half the application and they stopped, you can send out a reminder after a few days like, hey, your application is still pending. Usually, most of the funders we work with, they have different steps and verifications by stage. So one very common example is a credit pull. I know a lot of funders, they like leaving the credit pull for the very end because you don't want to affect the borrower's credit score unless they have to. So you can have it so that these different steps and verifications are created towards the later stages of your underwriting process automatically. So you just change the Salesforce stage, and then you automatically have those steps and verifications show up in the system as pending tasks. The next automation point we see is really any steps that are common to all of your loans. Like, for example, if you're doing a credit pull on every single loan, that is something that can be automated. Finally, and probably the most intricate one is credit decisioning. So we work with a lot of clients by setting up systems that calculate different underwriting statistics, such as loan to value. And based off those statistics, we can make decisions as to whether to approve, decline, or send a loan for a manual review. So moving on to the servicing side, document generation is still at play, although it's different documents. It could be monthly statements, invoices, late payment notices, etc. that can be automated. Emails and SMS, we can have invoices sent out on a regular schedule. I know with a lot of funders we work with, what they do is they want to like review the invoices before they're actually sent out. So we can have the documents generated automatically and then set up a review process in case any of these automatic emails need to be intercepted. Payment processor integrations. So we see this a lot with the merchant cash advance space because that space has a lot of daily payments. So using a Nacha file and uploading that to your bank on a daily basis and dealing with the returns can be a hassle if you're doing daily payments. So a lot of clients in that space typically go with an integration to an ACH processor that can handle everything automatically. Automated internal alerts. So one example we see in the real estate lending space is a lot of these lenders are using real estate as collateral, and they need to have the underlying collateral properly insured. So what you could do is you could set up a system where it sends an internal alert to a finance team member when an insurance policy is about to expire, or you could send that same alert directly to the borrower just to remind them to renew their insurance. Creation of general ledger entries is a common area we see. And then interest calculations is an obvious one. Obviously, no one likes to spend time just doing interest calculations by hand. So yeah, that was the meat and potatoes of the presentation. We're going to open it up to a Q&A. So please post your questions in the chat and we'll get to them. Right here, we have the Fundingo dashboard for the VP of Credit. And I'm going to be showing the underwriting rules engine. So as an example, we'll go to this opportunity, Sunny Arbor Incorporated. If we go to rules, right here, we can see the credit decisioning that can take place within Fundingo. So for example, we're running different checks such as loan to value, debt to credit, debt to income, etc. We can see the values being calculated. By clicking on the run underwriting checks, we can see whether one of the checks was successful, whether an action took place. In this case, there was a record created, or if no actions were executed. And you can also do field updates. And just to dive into this a little bit further, if we go to underwriting rules right here, we can see the different rules. If we click on new rule, we type in the name. So underwriting check, description, evaluation type. It could be any of these categories. We'll just do a number for now. Then you can run an evaluation on any field on a Salesforce object. So if we wanted to do amount requested, if we wanted to see like the big deals in the pipeline, we could do that. Greater than, and then enter a value. So all opportunities with amount requested greater than, for example, 30,000. Based off the evaluation, we take certain actions. So we can update a field in Salesforce. We can create a new record, send out an email, run another underwriting rule. If you have conditional underwriting taking place, for example, if they fail one check, do another check, or an existing action. So yeah, those are just some examples. I'll do the field update. So if the amount is greater than, let's just say we approve the loan, just as an example, we can save that. And yeah, that's how we set up automated underwriting rules in Fundingo.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for presenting that. If nobody has any other questions, we just want to thank you guys for coming to our webinar today. Please feel free to email us, and if we can send over this recording afterwards so that you guys can review it. But hopefully you guys had some sort of tips or insight on automation points that you can implement within your own workflows.
Yeah, and we'll also send the deck after this. So yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Everybody have a great day.